I went to Jan's front door carrying a shopping bag and a case. I was so excited to be going to a Halloween party tonight. Jan and I had been friends and off and on lovers for many years. We decided to go to a club tonight for a big party. There was a prize for best costume. I knew I wouldn't be in contention for that, but I was thrilled about going. Jan opened the door in answer to my knock. She hadn't started getting ready yet. Blue jeans, t-shirt and bare feet. "Hey Ed, come on in, I have an early dinner ready, figured we'd eat before we start the preparations." "Looks like you came prepared." I dropped my stuff in the living room and followed her to the kitchen, everything but the dress. "Well, I'll get that for you after we eat. For now, let's just chill." We sat and ate and talked. Dinner was light, which was great for me. I knew her dress would be a little tight on me, so I didn't want an after-dinner bulge. "Well, I better get in the shower," Jan announced as she rose from the table. "You go ahead, I'll clean this up," I offered. "Thanks," she turned and headed for her bedroom. I cleaned off the table, rinsed off the dishes and dropped them in the dishwasher. I stored the leftovers in the fridge and headed for the living room to begin my preparation. Jan was just heading back to the bedroom now, clad in a robe. "Thought I would bring you the dress. Hope it fits," and she disappeared, closing the door behind her. I went to the dress and stroked it a bit, relishing the idea of wearing it. It was white silk with a scattering of little black squares, about knee length, full skirt, half sleeve. I coveted this dress the first time I saw Jan wearing it, but she was very protective of it since it was rather expensive. She finally had worn it enough times to allow me my chance. I stripped down naked and began pulling things from my shopping bag. Right before I left the house I had showered and shaved every hair I could find from my nose on down. First was a white strapless corset. I fastened it around my waist. It took some effort and I had to suck in my stomach quite a bit to make it fit. I could feel dinner sitting like a rock inside. At last I got it completely done up and was able to relax a bit. It held me in nicely. I worked my hands inside the cups and rearranged the little fat I had into the cup as much as possible. To help, I had purchased a couple breast forms which I wedged in to give me passable breasts. Next I attached the garters and pulled a pair of black silk stockings from the bag. I thrilled at the feel of them sliding up my bare legs. Getting stocking clipped always gave me problems, but today was even worse as my hands were shaking from the excitement. I finally got them attached and adjusted the garters. I wasn't sure about black hose, white would have been too much, but Jan wore it with black once and I liked the look. A white panty followed. It had a solid satin panel up the front and back with the obligatory pink rose at the center of the waistband. The sides were all lace, cut high to the hip. They were a size smaller to reduce any bulges. The skirt was loose so I wouldn't have any panty lines. I pulled a pair of black and white stiletto heels from my bag and slipped my feet into them. I stood there a moment just relishing the feel of these things adorning my body. I took only a moment because I still had a long way to go. I pushed the bag aside and opened my case. An array of makeup sat before me. First grabbed my wig cap and pulled my hair under it. Then I went to work laying down a light base on my face and neck, then added color accenting my cheekbones, and a bit of color around my breasts to make them look a bit larger than they were. My eyes I went with a dark shade on the lids and let it fade out toward my eyebrows. I darkened my eyebrows just a bit and only a slim line of them, the rest were fairly well hidden by makeup. False eyelashes got attached to complete my eyes. At last a deep red lipstick which I painted on. Returning to the bag, I had already painted my toenails, but I had fake fingernails that I carefully attached to each finger. I carefully removed an auburn wig. I worked it onto my head and a few strategic hairpins secured it. The hair hung down in lazy curl across my shoulders and it gave me a chill feeling it slip across the bare skin of my back. "You could go just like that," Jan called as she walked into the room. I felt suddenly embarrassed, caught in my lingerie. It was foolish, we had seen each other naked, but this seemed odd. I quickly stood and turned my back to her and grabbed for the dress. "Relax," she snickered. "You look amazing." "Well, I just feel kind of exposed," I stammered as I slipped the dress carefully over my head. "I guess I am just being silly." I felt the dress drop down my body and again thrilled at the feel of the silk as it settled. The front gaped open and I pulled the left side across and inside the right where 2 buttons secured it in place. I attached the right side near my left hip on the outside with another pair of buttons. With shaking hands I checked over the dress to be sure everything was in place. I finally turned and faced Jan. "Nobody is going to think you are in costume." She walked toward me, took my hand and proceeded to turn me. "That dress fits you perfectly." I'm a bit taken back. "I thought it might be a bit too small." "Am I that big?" "It is probably the corset," I offered. I could feel myself blushing a bit at the compliments. "Besides, look at you, Miss Lara Croft. There is no way I could pull off something that skin tight, and those shorts are, well, short." "Where did you find all the props?" "Toy stores, various places around the mall," she smiled, turning to give a full view, wiggling her tush a bit. "I bought a hair extension that clips in for the braid. Matches my own color close enough that I don't think you can tell." "Nope, not unless you get really close." "You look great." "Ready to go?" She grabbed a small purse and pulled her keys from it. "I'm driving. I don't know if you can drive in those heels." "Jewelry, and then I need to get my purse in order and I'll be ready." I had a pair of dangle earrings that I slipped into the holes on my ears and placed a fine gold chain with matching pendant around my neck. Finally, I picked up a black and white clutch that matched my shoes and loaded it up with the few necessities I would need: credit card, a little cash, lipstick, and makeup repair kit. "Okay, let's go." We walked to the car and I again was thrilled by the feel of the dress slipping around my legs, the difference I felt where it was separated from my skin by the stocking and where it met bare skin near my hips. I carefully tucked it in before pulling the door close. Jan smiled a bit as she started the car. She had been watching me. We arrived at the club. The door attendant ushered us in without paying the cover charge. "Ladies get in free." I decided not to argue the point. We went inside. The place was already crowded. Jan ordered the first round of drinks. Superheroes seemed to be the theme of this party. Saw plenty of different characters representing both the Marvel and DC universes. Jan and I hung together for a while. We danced some, then she wandered off. I drank. I danced with nobody in particular. I just went to the floor and some girl or guy would start dancing with me. Didn't matter to me, just dancing. They did the contest, I didn't participate. A couple who came as characters from Guardians of the Galaxy won. I have to admit they put a lot of time in on their costumes. They looked great. I went to the ladies' room. Felt too weird to try and use the men's room. I just kept to myself, did my business, fixed my makeup and left. None of the women in there seemed to even notice me. I wandered about the club for a while. I hadn't seen Jan in more than an hour. Then I did see her. Lara Croft and Thor were in a booth in the corner making out like there was no tomorrow. I stood and stared for what seemed like forever. They never even saw me. Finally, I shook myself out of it and went to the bar. I climbed onto a stool, adjusted my skirt and ordered another drink. I don't know why I was upset. Jan and I weren't together in any sense of the word, except we came to this party. "What happened?" came a voice from my left. "Excuse me," I answered, trying not to betray myself with my voice. I hadn't said a lot, even ordering drinks I did with a smile and offering my empty glass. I looked to the voice and saw a petite blonde in a flowing blue floor-length dress. You've been having a good time all night and suddenly you're sulking here at the bar. You've been watching me? Yeah, a bit. She gathered her dress and perched herself on the stool next to me. At first I was trying to decide if you were in costume or not. You did a great job. Then I was trying to decide if you were with someone. You seemed upset at the two making out in the corner. Are you with one of them? Well, I came here with Lara Croft, I admitted. But we are just friends, not involved or anything. Then why so upset? Familiar pattern, I guess, I sighed. I just hope she remembers to give me her keys so I can get back to my car. Well, if she doesn't there are other options, she smiled. I'm Terry. Hi, Terry, I answered. I glanced around. I'm Ed. Hi Ed, nice to meet you. Frozen, right? Yes. What can I say? I want to be a princess and I love long dresses. I rarely get to go somewhere nice that I can wear something like that, so I decided I'd do it tonight. I think you look beautiful. I got the bartender's attention, signaled toward Terry's empty glass and my own. He got the message and proceeded to get us a couple drinks. We talked for the rest of the night. She didn't pry into my choice of costumes and I enjoyed myself immensely. Suddenly I heard last call for alcohol and realized the evening was close to over. I guess I need to see if I need to find a way home, I murmured. I'll be happy to take you if you need it. I've really enjoyed our time together. I smiled and started wondering if she would let me kiss her when Jan stumbled up. Hey, she slurred. Hi, I was just about to go looking for you. Oh, I was around. Great party, she giggled. I felt embarrassed for her. I've been talking with Terry here. Oh, she spun around to look and nearly fell to the floor. Hi. With her back to me I saw that one side of her shorts had been pulled up, exposing one cheek pretty well. I briefly thought of pulling it down for her but decided against it. Okay, how about you give me your keys and I drive us back to your place? Okay dokie. She turned back and held her purse out to me. I fished out her keys, grateful she didn't argue about it. I paid the tab with my credit card, which earned her a double take from the bartender, and proceeded to try and leave. Jan nearly collapsed and I came close to breaking either my ankle or the heel on my shoe. I was debating on taking off my shoes and ruining my stockings when a voice spoke up behind me. Why don't you let me give you a hand? Terry to the rescue. She took Jan by one arm and an armful of her own dress in the other. I took the other arm and we were able to march Jan to the car with only a few stumbles. I managed to get the door open and gently lower Jan into the passenger seat. I turned to Terry. Thank you so much. I reached out and grasped her hand. I really appreciate it and, well, I was wondering if maybe. I didn't get to finish as I felt a hand sliding up my leg under my dress. Hey! I tried to step away and pull my dress off Jan's arm, but the door blocked my path to one side and Terry was too close on the other. Oh, come on, show me those pretty panties. She reached again, but I managed to keep her out from under my dress barely. You look like you are certainly going to have your hands full getting her home. Terry peered around me at Jan, now leaning out the car door trying to reach under my dress again. I guess I'll be going, good luck. Wait! I turned back and pushed Jan's arm away, then managed to get her upright in the seat again and closed the door. I turned and walked back to the rear of the car. Terry was waiting there. Look, I'd really like to see you again. I don't date people in relationships, Terry answered. If you two are spending time together, well, I don't like sharing. Thor in there bought her a ton of tequila shots. I saw the glasses on the table and I'm sure you could smell it. She and I haven't been like that in a while, we are just friends. This is actually her dress, that is why we rode together tonight, and she walked in while I was dressing, which is why she knows about my underwear. Oh, she was serious about that. Terry smirked. I just thought she was confused. Yeah, she was serious, I stammered, seeing my chances of a date dwindling before my eyes. She looked me over for several seconds, then reached into her purse and pulled out a phone. Give me your number, I'll think it over and get in touch sometime in the next couple days. I watched as she typed in my number into her contacts, and then she turned and started walking away. When I get in touch, I expect you to be honest with me. I promise, I called after her as she disappeared around the corner of the building. I got in the car and was happy to hear the soft snoring rising from the other seat. I was able to get us back to her place without incident. Once there, I went into the house first, took off my shoes and removed my stockings. Then I went back to the car to wrestle her inside. Once I deposited her on the bed, I went back and proceeded to clean off all my makeup and undress. I carefully put all my things away, then wrote a quick note telling Jan I was taking her dress with me to have it cleaned. As I finished packing, I found a nightgown I had brought with me just in case I stayed the night. I packed it away as well. Dressed as I was when I arrived this afternoon, I carried my things back to my car. As I climbed in behind the wheel, my phone chimed with an incoming message. If you are alone, call me, Terry. I quickly dialed the number identified by the text. Well, that didn't take you long, Terry answered. Didn't take you long either, and responded with a grin she could probably hear. I was just starting to drive home. Any problems? No, she was passed out by the time I got in the car, managed to dump her on her bed, cleaned up and got out. Your timing was perfect. I really didn't expect to be getting back to you so soon, she admitted. But I really did enjoy talking with you, and if you were honest about your relationship, then I would like to see you again. Everything I told you was true, including wanting to see you again. I was starting to feel really good again. Fine, let's meet for coffee Monday evening, will that work for you? Absolutely. We made arrangements to meet and hung up. I drove home almost as happy as when I put the dress on that afternoon. One line from our conversation kept replaying in my mind. I like my dates to look like a guy, but if you decide to wear pretty panties, well, I might like to see that if things go well.